Hi, Gaye DeRusso with the Majestic Rider, here again with Tilley. So today what I'm doing is I'm lunging her over poles, which means I have her on a rope, and I've made it smaller because I'm trying to get her to rock back a little bit more on her back end. You might have seen in some of my other canter videos, sometimes I put a weight on the opposite foot, so we're working on her right lead right now, and with the pacey horses, they tend to cross canter or pick up the wrong lead. So a lot of times if they're having issues, which she is to the right at least, I put a weight on her outside front foot. We're going to the right, I put it on the left front foot. And when we go to the left, I'll switch it to the right front foot. That weight just helps them to get their footfall better, to teach them the correct way to canter. But in the end, we're not going to keep that weight on. It's just an exercise to help her learn how to carry herself during this canter, and that's the same thing the poles are doing, are helping her to learn to slow down and rock back on her back end, because if she blows through the poles and goes really fast, they're going to tend to trip or fall down. Okay, so she gets a little anxiety because it is, you know, nerve-wracking doing something like this. It's like us putting our feet through tires and everybody's watching us and we're trying to do it fast. So she's getting there, but sometimes she does get still a little bit amped up. So pretty good. She's starting to think about what she's doing. Canter, good girl. Canter, good girl. Canter, good girl. Drifting a little there. Canter. Good girl. Canter. Good girl. Canter. Good girl. Good girl. So she did pretty good. Now you'll see some of the time she doesn't canter, and that's usually if they get to a spot and she's trying to get her right lead, and now she knows that and she can't get it, so then she's tending to gait instead, which is perfectly fine. And she's being careful, which I don't want her to trip. So the fact she slows down or doesn't canter, that's okay. And what I'm doing is, as I'm going around, I am making her, instead of just, you know, one circle around, now I'm trying to build her strength. So I'm trying to get her to do 3 good circles in a row if I can. And I do it so many times until I think that's pretty good, and then I switch to the other side. So she did the left, and that was pretty decent, and now we're gonna go back to the right again. And this is hard. This is hard on their brain. They really have to think. And so it can cause some emotional distress as they're learning. So, you know, they might get frustrated, so don't get upset with them. And it's hard on their body because when they're not used to cantering, you know, they're using different muscles than they do to gait, and they have to really rock back and try to balance themselves. That's why I do a lot of these ground exercises, to help them to gain that strength. So then when I'm on their back, it's not as hard. So I do a lot of stuff on the ground, some stuff under saddle, and then as they get stronger, it'll be more and more under saddle. But in the beginning, it's a lot of just gymnastic exercises, teaching them how to rock back and how to stay slow. Canter. Girl. Canter. Canter. Good girl. Canter. Good girl. do it again? Maybe. Get stronger. Canter. Good girl. Canter. Good girl. Canter. Girl. Okay, so that's it for today. I'm just going to take her on a nice easy trail ride and not really work on cantering. Just remember, it is exhausting for them to do some of these exercises, especially if they're on the pacey side. It's much harder than the horses that are on the trotty side. So you don't want to do it until they're exhausted and they're tripping and falling and frustrated, or they start rearing up because they don't want to do it anymore. You want to do it enough that they get the idea, that they get some practice, and when you see that they're getting tired, and I can see she's getting tired, like she's getting slower, and she's like, oh, do I gotta do this? You know, you read that and you go, oh, you do one more, that's it. So she did it pretty decent. None of it's perfect. It takes a long time to perfect them, and it takes time to get their muscles up. Remember, when you go to the gym and work out, it takes 6 to 8 weeks of 3 to 5 times a week to build up your muscles. It's the same for them. So it takes months to get the muscles to hold the canter, to do it well. And that's why it's always easier for them to do it on a hill, because it puts them in the right position, versus when they're on the flat, they have to hold it and they really have to use their muscles correctly to be able to do it. And that's why a lot of gaited horses don't canter well on the flat. It's because nobody's done all these exercises with them and they've just cantered hills. So that's all they know, and they don't really know how to hold it correctly. But again, if you have one of the ones that trot, sometimes they are so simple to canter. It's annoying, but it's so simple that you can canter on the flat, you can canter anywhere. But the ones on the pacey side are the ones that are really well gated, like they're locked into the gate. Some of those don't canter so well and nobody's worked on it. They can all do it. It's harder for some of them, but they can all do it if you take your patience and time. The canter might not be as good as some of the other horses, but they can do it. Okay, that's it for today.